All right, hello everyone. Welcome back from spring break. So today we are moving on. So we've talked a lot about bar graphs, histograms, dot plots. And so now we're going to talk about, this is 10.3. This is now looking at the shapes of distributions. So how can I look at a graph and explain? I'm going to learn some vocabulary words today to explain where is most of my data. So there's different types of distributions. And so what I'm going to have you do is I want you to copy down these notes. This will be kind of like your cheat sheet. It will really help you. And we're going to do these notes briefly together, and then you're going to watch a couple of the book examples talking about how to do some of the actual problems. So you'll watch those. There's about 3 of them, quick examples right after this, and then you can apply what you've learned into your workbook page for your homework tonight, which is also really great practice. So my types of distributions are, you can either have a symmetrical, so they're symmetric, and you can also have data that's skewed. And so think of that right now. If I were to think of, well, what does that word skewed mean? Let's look it up together. So the definition of skewed, if I'm looking, it's a sudden change, direction, or position. So it's kind of a twist or a turn, but mainly we're focusing on here, it makes something biased. It makes something look a little bit distorted. So it's not as regular. So skewed is sort of the opposite as symmetric. So what that's going to look like is, here's our first type of data distribution. As you'll notice here, I'm going to start off, if this was my histogram or bar graph, I'm building up my data, and it's building up strongly all the way to the right, and then I might have like a little guy right here. So if I'm looking at this and kind of thinking about where's all of my different data, it kind of gives you this curve that goes up really high fast, and then it kind of comes down. And what we're going to call this area right here, so you'll notice most of your data is on your right, and so this is what's known as your tail. So right now, this is my tail. The tail end of this is on the left. So most of my data is on the right. It leans super heavy on the right. So I'm going to call this and say that this is skewed left. Skewed left. So really, you would call this skewed left. Left is, or it's skewed wherever your tail is. So I could say that right now my tail is left, which tells me that most data is on what side? The right. So that's an example of a graph that shows skewed left. That's the vocabulary that statisticians and a lot of people, that's what you would say. So then if I want to go to this example, what if I have a graph like this? I'm going to start and draw a tall thing in the middle, and then watch how I'm evenly distributing it between my sides. So looking at here, you probably guessed it, this is an example of symmetrical. So this is something I would say, this is a symmetric shape. This is a symmetric shape because right now I'm noticing it's even on both sides. There is no tail. It's perfectly even. Not one side has more data than the other. So we could say that our left side is the same as the right side. So that is your example of a symmetric. All right, we have one more. So our last one, and you probably see where this is going. If I have a skewed left, I'm probably going to need a skewed right. And so a skewed right is where my tail end is going to be on the right, meaning most of my data is on the left. So I'll start off, and you'll see, okay, a lot of my values are very high up on the left, and then it kind of goes down. So this is the opposite of over here. And if I'm looking, I can say that, okay, well this time the tail of my data is on the right, meaning I would say this is a skewed right distribution. Because my tail is on the right, most of my data is on the left. Tail is right. Most data is on the left. So just be careful, because sometimes people want to say, oh, most of my data is on the left, that means it's skewed left. No, no, no. You want to say if most of your data is on the left, that means it's kind of thrown off on the right. So when we talked about, oh, what does that word skewed really mean? It's talking about where's the tail? Where is it sort of uneven? Well, here it's skewed right. It's kind of uneven and weird over by my right. So just be careful with that. If you need to write a note to yourself, when you're thinking about skewed in what direction, you could think skewed, where is the tail? Where is that tail end of my data? That's where you can see kind of if this was like a slide, that's going to be the end of your slide where all of your, or like a step, walking stairs. I usually tell students, your tail, if you imagine walking downstairs, your tail is going to be here. I would not want to take a step from here to here. I would probably fall, but here you can see I'm going all the way down nice and neat my stairs, and that's where my tail is going to be. So go ahead and watch a couple of examples that I am providing from you from Big Ideas. It goes over just some examples. All you're really doing is looking at graphs and saying, is it skewed left, is it symmetric, or is it skewed right? And just kind of talking about that.